What is up, everybody? It is Guy Smiley here, and welcome back to another MOC review. So here is the setup for this picture that I took of the Egypt World in Darkness scene that I made. As you can see here, it is inside my light tent, and I took the picture all the way back here using my zoom lens, which allowed me to get some very nice blur in the foreground and the background of the scene in the final picture. So you guys already saw this in the MOC update, most of this, but I just wanted to show it again so you guys could see the exact way I had it set up for the final picture, to show you guys how terrible it looks from the sides. But if you zoom in just a little bit, it starts to look good. So that's how you do it. That's how you build a good scene. And as you can see over there, you can see the actual, there's no road there, but I actually took the picture from a lot lower angle, so that was actually not visible. So I actually avoided having to build a lot of road, and actually that was good because I didn't actually have any more of these dark gray 1x2 tiles. We have this tree that was just here. I just had this built from a different thing that I was trying to take a picture of, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I just like put it on a plate here and just kind of sit it in the corner of the scene to add some more foreground objects there that would be out of focus, then would add to the immersion of the scene. And the trucks in the scene are the same design that I showed in a previous MOC review where I had some of these built in dark tan. There was actually a dark tan one visible just barely in the back of the scene right there. That is the one that I had in the previous MOC review, which I'll put in the corner of the video right there if you guys want to see that. Those were the Egyptian regime trucks. And the Egyptian regime is working with the EU in the storyline of the World in Darkness group, so it kind of makes sense that truck would be back there, like there is regime soldiers backing up the EU guys over there on that side of the street. And there were two of them in the scene. You can see the back one of this one and the front of that one in the final picture. This one is slightly different than that one. It has no bull bars on the front. I'm not going to talk too much more about these because I think I do want to make a separate video about these and do more in-depth on these and the minifigures of this scene, just so this video doesn't get too long, because there's actually there's stuff to talk about on these trucks, and there's stuff to talk about the minifigures as well. So keep an eye out for that separate video. And in the corner of the scene, we had a fruit stand here. Some people, we had a guy selling fruit, and we had a guy walking on the sidewalk. This guy was just barely visible above his waist on the corner of the scene, and it looked really cool. Added a lot of immersion to it, I thought, because you could just see kind of like part of a person, and it kind of implied that there was more stuff happening around the periphery of the scene. He uses this cloth piece is actually from the Kingsley Shacklebot minifigure from the Harry Potter line. A very awesome piece. I really like this piece. I actually need to buy some more of those on Bricklink because they're really cool. They're very useful for Star Wars Senate guards. Kind of off topic there, but that's what I use those pieces for. That's what it was on before I took it off for this minifigure. And then we have the fruit here. We have some apples and cherries and a chest there on the side. Moving this, we have the base to the vine that you guys saw. I used this leaf thing right here to cover up the base and kind of hide it in the corner of the scene. And this is how the vine is made here. It's attached right here to the ground, and then attached at the other end right here, just off to the side of this brick wall. This is the great thing about making scenes, is you can do all kinds of crazy stuff and hide the pieces that you don't want seen off to the side, off to the corner of the scene where you want to see it. And these are really cool pieces I got on Lug Bulk. They're just very long, little twisty, little elastic pieces, little rubber pieces, and I just kind of twisted them around, and then I just attached it right there, and then at the bottom, and they're held in there. It's just held by this. If I were to take it off, it would actually like snap and it would unravel. So it's kind of a really cool technique there. And then what I did was since they're like intertwined, I was able to actually just attach these pieces with with friction here and make like little clusters of leaves along the vine as it was going along the building. As you can see there, they are just held in there with friction, nothing else. So this wall itself is very complex. What I did was I actually just had some duct tape here, and I just taped this all the way across the top and then all the way across the side as well. There's duct tape, and this piece of tape goes all the way across the side, and that's because there was light coming through the cracks, and I didn't want that because it didn't actually look like there was grout in between the cracks. So there can't be light when you do this technique. There really can't be light coming through, otherwise it looks really unrealistic. But when it's dark and when it's black in there, it looks really good. It looks like the bricks are actually laid on top of each other with little gaps in between, and then grout or cement in between the actual bricks. As you can see with the tape off, there's light coming through, and then when you put the tape on, boom, it looks very nice. It looks a lot better. And then of course this thing behind it prevents light coming through the back of them as well. So that's kind of like a non-purist way to do it. I'm sure you could find a purist way if you wanted to, or if this was continued actually all the way over here, because it's actually not. There's actually nothing over here. So it just looks like it's actually the corner of a building when it's just a facade. So that's the kind of the secret to this, is if it was actually continued, there probably wouldn't be so much light coming through. But since I didn't have enough pieces or didn't have the time to actually make it continue all the way over here somewhere, I just used the non-purist technique of using some tape. With some of the bricks removed from the wall, you can see the actual technique that I used there. We have these bricks are facing studs up, and these ones are studs sideways. These are 4 studs long, and these are also 4 studs long, because if you build plates like this, they're actually the same length, as you can see right there. Lego geometry just works out like that. And these are 2 studs long, and they're 2 studs long right there as well. So these are like perfect squares here. And so what you do is you just actually build up with bars, alternate with a brick right there. And then you put a snot brick and a clip right there and clip a bar to it. Then you do 2 plates, and then you do the same thing above there. And then you just actually build your bricks like this. And you actually only need 2 types of pieces to make these bricks. You just need 1x2 plates, which I used right here. I used these medium nougat 2x2 plates because I have a lot of them from Lug Bulk. And then you need 1x2 tiles in the same color, or 1x1 tiles. Both work. So then you just build the bricks, and then you put behind them, you use a clip like this for these ones facing sideways, and for the ones that are studs up, you use these kind of clips right here. You put them on the bottom like this, and then you just clip them on right here like so. And you leave a little bit of space in between the bricks right there. You know, you just have to kind of play with like where to place them and how many studs, like which piece of the brick do you want to place them on, to get leave a nice little gap there in between those, in between the bricks, the individual ones. And then the same thing here. You just kind of figure out where the best place to put the clip is, and just clip it onto the bar in the back of the structure for the wall there, and that's how you do this wall technique. These buildings right here and here use a bit of a simpler wall technique. It just uses a studs up construction with masonry bricks here, and then what you have to do to integrate the masonry bricks well is you have to use tiles, because tiles themselves have a very nice little groove on the bottom of them, and that kind of matches the grooves that are in the masonry bricks, and that makes it look like the wall was once flat, and now it is kind of wearing away, and you're beginning to be able to see more of the outlines of the bricks that make up the actual structure of the wall. And on this building right here, we have masonry, and we have tiles interspersed throughout to make it seem like the wall is kind of decaying there, and it really just it makes the masonry bricks look a lot. It makes your build look a lot more a little bit more professional and complex, because it's very easy to just stack masonry bricks, and it doesn't really look very good in my opinion. But it's a lot harder, and it takes a lot more time to do this with the tiles, and to make sure that everything can connect. You have to like figure out where you can put a tile, but also put a stud somewhere next to it so that it can still actually be connected to the entire building, and your building won't just slide off because there's just tiles there. We have some lights here above this sign, which is kind of a cool thing here that I just built, and it's supposed to be Arabic style Middle Eastern writing, and I have no idea if it looks anything similar. I think it looks a little bit similar. I did look at some pictures for it, and I just kind of like used some clips and some random pieces that I had laying around and put them on there to make them look like they were kind of like Arabic letters of some kind. And this air conditioning unit, people have been asking me actually a lot how I built this, and I thought it was actually very simple, but I guess people didn't really realize how I did it. So what this is right here is it's actually a turntable bottom, as you can see right there, and I just took the top of the turntable off, and then I just simply attached it to a Travis brick right there. There's two tiles on the top and the bottom. There's a string running through the back, a string piece, and then there's a 1x1 with the tile here with the gauge on it. This section of the wall right here is very simply just studs up construction. I just kind of did some really cool stuff here using some different pieces to make it look very visually interesting, which is always what you want to try to do when building your walls and your scenes. And then this tree right here is built using a very kind of haphazard technique, I guess you could say. It's just brown bricks, and they're just stacked in every which way, and they just make a they end up making a pretty cool tree. I didn't really put much thought into it. I just kind of built whatever felt right where I wanted the leaves to be. It's kind of like, I guess it's called freestyle. I would call this freestyle building right here because there's not really like a set technique that's used. It's just freestyle. It's just bricks stacked wherever works, and then the leaves are attached to wherever they work, and that makes a tree in this little pot here. And then on the roof of this building, we have some grenades in barrels here. I thought that might be cool because this is supposed to be a UAPR safe house. Maybe they have some stashes on top of the roof. I don't think you could actually see that in the scene, but I thought it was pretty cool, kind of like a little Easter egg there. And the lights on the side of the building, I tried to make it look like they were kind of like cast iron, like some decorative cast iron holders here on this on the building, and then they come out with the light right here, and it's hanging down from the cast iron. It's a very simple design, actually. It's just one of these R2-D2 domes there. Here's a close-up of the door. The door is also kind of what I would call freestyle building. There's no set technique. It's just whatever works to get these pieces and panels to line up just like that. I'll show you guys the back side of the door once we actually flip the scene around and we take a look at the back side of it. Starting at the top of this tan building here, we have an AC unit right here on the side of the building. This one is a pretty simple design. Here it is from the back. It's just kind of built upside down with some brackets there on the sides, and then one of these bricks with the very nice pattern on the side of it right there to mimic the vents that would be coming out of the side of the AC unit. And then I used a rubber band here on the side to coming out of the unit up to this other piece right here, which is kind of like maybe a control area or something. So it just kind of adds like some little color there, a little nice like wiring detail. And then we have on the side of this building here, these bricks they're not white, but they're actually yellowed old white bricks that are so yellowed they almost look tan. And I put them in with my tan pieces because I knew I would be able to use them eventually on the side of a tan building as some kind of brick design here, and they look really cool right there on the side of the building. This is a good reason for you guys to never throw away your old yellow bricks, and maybe even actually seek them out, because I actually do look for them in lots because I know I can use them in ways such as this to intersperse them throughout tan or white and add a little bit of color variation to make it look a little bit worn there. That's what these bricks are great for. Again, on the side of the building here, we have well integrated masonry here as well with tiles interspersed to use that little groove on the bottom of the tile. On these things here, we're using the technique for 2 bricks, 1 brick and 2 plates equals 2 studs in length. As you can see right there, this is just on the top and this is a brick, and plates on the side right here with these nice patterns again for the windows there. It's like, I kind of imagine these to be like covered windows, so they have like a thing on the outside you open first and then the windows on the inside of that. And then on the bottom here, we used one of these old hinge pieces here. I love these pieces, actually. Let me see if I can take it off. There it is. I used this hinge piece right here, this old panel piece, and these are really useful. They're in old brown, which is very nice, so it adds some color variation as well. And they're just attached down there to give it a nice sloping front to that little window piece of the building that comes out a little bit more. That's actually made of wood, is what I imagine this, and the rest of the building is made of like stone bricks stacked on top of one another. Taking off the top of this tan building, you guys can see the technique that I used for the actual brickwork on this building. This is very, very intricate and very nice looking brickwork in my opinion. It's very similar to the technique I used for the medium nougat built wall on the side of the scene with these bricks right here, just on a smaller scale pretty much. So we have various different bricks of different sizes. As you can see, they are connected with 1x1s with the clip on the side, and the various different kinds. We have this one right here, which is connected like this. This is a snot brick there, and then there's two plates and then one of these tiles with the clip on it, and it's connected to this piece right there. We have this, which is a 1x1 brick, and then I used the piece with the hole in the middle to allow this piece to connect inside right there on this piece. This claw piece just fits right in there, and then you're able to connect it. And you have to use a combination of both ones that are built from plates and bricks, because that's what allows you to keep it a even amount of studs in length, but still have these nice little gaps in between the bricks, because you want the gaps to be visible, but not so big that they look unrealistic. And if you were just using plates like this without having the bricks like this coming out, then you would have either gaps that are too big or gaps that are too small and non-existent. So that's the main secret for this technique. There's a brick right here, and then there's a brick right here as well. If we flip up all the bricks on the first layer here, you can see all of the bricks on the second layer. As you can see, it's very parts intensive. So you need a lot of pieces to do this technique, but once you actually do it, it looks just absolutely great. There's just bricks upon bricks upon bricks, and it looks really awesome in there. Here's the little facade of the building that I built in the back of the scene. This was all the way back there behind that truck. There's a little flex tube here on the top of the building that looks like a wire of some kind going from this building to the one across the street. And we did a really cool archway design here that I was very, very happy with. We did use a door here, one of these new Lego doors, and it's just on there. There's nothing inside. And I put one of these lock pieces on the front of it to make it look really cool. And to do this archway, what we did was kind of a unorthodox technique here of just doing 1x2 plates and only attaching them on one side, just enough to make a nice archway that went all the way around and was flush with this inner archway here. And this is a very delicate technique. I couldn't really figure out a way to get it to connect on the top here in the middle. I'm sure there is a way to do that, but I didn't want to put time into figuring that out. But it's very delicate. It comes off very easily because the bricks are very, very loosely connected. And then on the inside, we have this archway right here. And how this is done is just some 1x1 round bricks, a piece of like hose in the middle, piece of this ribbed hose. And to do this, what we did was we just used a piece of flex tube on the inside, and there's a piece of flex tube that runs from here all the way to here, and then you can just push these together, and you don't want to connect these because otherwise they'll break the pieces, but since you have the flex tube there, you can bend it and then just attach it on both sides of the doorway, and then you have a nice Egyptian style archway here over the door that's black and white striped. And that was inspired by the concept art that I used, by the picture that I used as inspiration for this build, because there was like an archway in it that had this black and white striping pattern on it. And here's what the back of the scene looks like. As you can see, as usual, it looks a lot like my other scenes in terms of that it's very, very messy back here. All the stuff is hidden that I didn't want anybody to see. We've got connection points for the this wooden part of this building on the right hand side of the scene. This connection here is because the middle part of this is actually raised up by 1/2 of a plate, so I had to connect it in this way here because this sign here is only 3 studs like tall. So I had an uneven amount of studs there, so I had to do this kind of a thing to connect that brown part. Here's the bottom of the garage. As you can see, we have this here with jumper plates. That's how I was able to get this nice the nice woodwork on the front of this building. And this is what it looks like from the front. I don't think I actually talked about this yet. As you can see, it's built sideways. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 2 more plates there and 1 more plate on this side. So we have 5 bricks. So five bricks is actually the same thing as 6 studs in a length. So that's a good rule to remember as well. And then on the sides of the building, we have some very cool, what I thought was like kind of like a really cool Egyptian woodwork. Let me actually take this off so you guys can see what I did. Here we go. So I connected this piece right there with this snot brick right there, and then this is the thing that goes on the side right here. As you can see, I used these are roller skates right here, which add a nice little detail in between these things. And then to do these tiles like this, and to do the inside where it's not like one whole stud back, it's actually in between 2 studs, I used these jumper plates right here. And those are very useful when you want to do things like this where you don't want to have things be set all the way in. You want to do like a halfway in set piece of your build. Here is how I did the door and this panel here that was on the main building. It's this one right here. As you can see, I used jumper plates to inset some areas of it to make it look a little bit more complex and to give it some details. As you can see there, hiding all these pieces in the back because it doesn't really matter what it looks like in the back, so you can use all your pieces that you normally can't use if you were doing like a diorama or something. And here is the door. I just used a broken piece because why not use it, because it didn't really matter that it was broken in the back. And then if we take this part out, I'll show you how I did the door. So there are the panels of the door right there with the middle part right here. This is the middle of the front of the door, and then we have panels on either side. As you can see, they're just haphazardly connected right here with these and these flick fire missiles there to hold the panels in place with some studs, and then this is connected sideways like that. So yeah, very complicated door, but you can make if you put time and just kind of mess around, you can make some awesome doors. I've seen doors that are even more complex than this in a lot of like World War II scenes and stuff. Usually the World War II builders are doing really awesome doors. And then lastly, for the back of the scene, here is a side view of the brickwork that I did for the tan building. As you can see, alternating, there's 2 plates in between each of these plates with the bars on it to connect the actual bricks, and then you just continue that all the way up. And I think that is going to be it for this video. Be sure to leave a comment down below if you guys have any questions about this MOC or the techniques that I used. I'll be glad to answer them. And be sure to leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed this video or if you guys learned anything from it. And be sure to keep an eye out for another video that I think I'm going to do of this MOC. I'm going to do just kind of like a showcase video where I talk very minimally, and I'm just going to throw in a bunch of like some really cool music, and I'm just going to throw in some really cool shots of the build from all different angles, all of the little pieces of the build. I'm going to do just like really nice, really pretty looking shots of these pieces. I'll show you guys the pictures that I took of the build as well, because I did take actually a couple different angles of the picture for this build, and I'll show you guys those in that video because there really was not enough time to do that in this video. I wanted this video just to be purely about the review of the MOC and the techniques that I used. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video when it's finished, and I will see you guys in the next video.